All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Chris Crenshaw, and we are live from the 704 once again for episode 222 of the 815 Exchange. And well. All right, it was a crazy last Halloween weekend. By the way, welcome to November. All right, everybody. Welcome to November. Now, I know some of y'all want to break out the Mariah Carey. Hell, even Mariah Carey, according to that one commercial, wants to break out the Christmas. But it's not Christmas time yet. All right, we still got Thanksgiving, and we're going to give Thanksgiving its flowers. Because I don't know about y'all, but I like to eat. All right, I like to eat. So I very much so appreciate Thanksgiving. So, all right, Christmas can have a time in December. November, Thanksgiving. All right, we're not going to skip ahead. But spooky season has come to an end, and I had a mad one. All right, I had an absolutely insane one. We did get a sweep, but goodness gracious, Saturday or no, it was Friday. Yeah, Friday night for me. As you see, I have a red eye. Okay, so that's pretty indicative of the kind of weekend I had. All right, it was a mad one. All right, it was a mad one, but it was a good one. All right, but it was a wet weekend in F1, and we saw Max be why Max is. And who Max is and why Max is who Wax has become, we saw the Max Verstappen experience in full in F1, so we got to talk about that. College football, this was the comeback down to earth, all right? This was all of y'all in these nice little 6-game win streaks after you struggled early on in the season. Yeah, we're going to solve all of that this weekend. Got rid of that. NFL, welcome to the tank. Some of y'all, welcome to the tank. Y'all just need to commit at this point, all right? Because some of these losses some of y'all took this week. Ooh, yeah, not too great, not too great. And then we had a big week of music, so we got plenty to talk about this week. And of course, the World Series and the MLB season come to an end, so of course you get to hear me crash out one last time on the New York Yankees. But yes, as always, remember to like, share, and subscribe if you guys enjoy the content. And as always, if there is, alright, anything you were looking for in this life, it can be found in my description, all right? Timestamps are embedded in the video. They are also in the description. And so are my social media links, which are also in the outro if you make it there. Again, long-form content, skip ahead. All right, if you came for the NFL, skip ahead. You came to see me crash out on the Yankees, skip ahead. If you came for CFB, ladies and gentlemen, stay right there because we are heading straight to it. All right, college football. Ohio State, Penn State. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the same game every single year. It's the same game every single year. What else is there to say? It's the same game. I know Penn State fans, and y'all were very visibly tired of James Franklin, who is now, 2-13 or something insane like that against top 5 teams, and still has that absolutely erroneous record against Ohio State and Michigan. But yeah, I know y'all are tired. And every single year, this game is a top 10 matchup, sometimes even a top 5 matchup. And if it's at Penn State or at Ohio State, it gets hyped up. Game day shows up. Big Noon shows up. All these people show up. We're all so hyped. And for seconds in this game, we think for just maybe this is the year Penn State has figured out Ohio State. Just maybe this is the year they can get over the hump. And then it finishes. And it goes the exact same way every single time. There is no team, perhaps, in the country that knows how to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory against an opponent like Penn State against Ohio State. It is remarkable. It is almost a talent, all right, if it wasn't so detrimental, that Penn State is so clinical, so expert at finding ways to choke and fold against the Ohio State Buckeyes. How did it go this year? All right, Ohio State gets the win 20-13. But let's rewind a little bit, all right? As Penn State had a chance to tie this game. They were leading for a lot of this game, honestly. Well, I won't say a lot. It was kind of, momentum going back and forth, to be completely honest with you. By the way, Will Howard making his return to Pennsylvania. And, of course, Drew Aller returning from injury. Mobility looked fine, right? He actually ran the ball pretty well and was pretty effective in situations where Drew needed to get some yards. He was good at using his legs. I wonder why we didn't use that run I'm about to talk about. So, here we are. 4th on the 1-yard line. You have 4 plays to tie the game. 4. Penn State runs a very creative scheme that we saw throughout the game, especially early on when they had a lot of momentum. You saw all types of motions, trickery using that Penn State, and it was very effective. So somebody explain to me why either James Franklin or Penn State's OC, who I've forgotten the name of, decided to run the same exact play 3 times in a row. Was it pride? Was it hubris? I'm confused. Why did you run up them 3 straight, no real the same exact play 3 straight times? You had all of this creativity trying to paint these masterpieces for 3 quarters, for 4.5 quarters. Or yeah, 3.5 really. And then when it comes to when it matters, you come out with some stale bread play calling. Stale white bread. They run the same play 3 straight times, and then on 4th down concoct an absolute disaster class. Alright? Almost as bad as the game that Carson Beck played this week. Terrible play call. You have Tyler Warner. How does Tyler Warner not get a touch? They try to find him, but he's double covered. So why not just let Drew run? That was my other thing. Drew has been able to manufacture and get these little 3, 4, 5 yard gains that make your life easier all game long. You're on the goal line with a 6'5", 220 plus quarterback. Just give the ball to Drew. Just give the ball to Drew. Stop doing this. Again, I have to think it was bravado. That you thought, you know what, my guys are better than your guys. And you thought you could just go head up with Ohio State for 3 straight plays, and one of them was going to work. It was atrocious. I mean, just remarkable, diabolical play calling at the end. Cost them the game, and then Ohio State with Quinshon Judkins just runs right down your throat to end the game before, kills the time off. And just lets their nut hang. To be serious, lets their nuts hang on that final drive. Said, you know what? You're cooked. You're done. You're done. You don't got nothing left. We just got a goal line stop because you forgot how to score. Run the ball down and throw. That's what they did. And it happens every single time. Somehow, some way. No matter if it's a high-scoring game, low-scoring game, Penn State finds a way to lose these games. It is insanity. Insanity. How one team can be so close to greatness, so close to being truly amongst the elites in college football, but just refuses to get over the hump. So I know, and I empathize with you, Penn State fans, because you have to be tired. But it's a weird situation where Franklin's too good for you to fire, because it could be much, much worse. I mean, look at USC, right? It could be much, much worse. We've seen it countless times with many fallen programs over the years, even outside of USC, which I just use because I'm a fan. But it still remains that he cannot beat the elite. He just can't. He cannot beat the elite. Doesn't matter who he has on that team, he just can't beat the elite. All right? Abdul Carter, by the way, giving Donovan Jackson, even though they gave that Ohio State, which credit, all right? They dealing with some big losses on that OL, so they had to make some switches around. Donovan Jackson, again, he's a great guard. He doesn't really have a future at left tackle because Abdul Carter was eating his lunch. But it didn't matter. It didn't matter because they did enough. They did enough to get the job done. It wasn't Jeremiah Smith going off. It wasn't even a Mecca, even though he scored in this game. But simply put, Penn State can't beat the elite still. OSU, congrats, back in the national championship convo. Miami hasn't left, all right? And for the first 3 quarters of this game, it looked like Duke might do the impossible, all right? It looked, well, I won't say it's impossible. Miami's not that status yet. They ain't that back, all right? But it looked like Duke was a very, very serious threat to Miami's, undefeated run and then pulling this off and running the table. But at a certain point, once again, ladies and gentlemen, it's becoming a recurring theme, and it's why he is the Heisman favorite now, with all due respect to Dylan Gabriel, who should not be the Heisman favorite by any means. Cam Ward just decided that Miami was going to win this game. Him and Xavier Restrepo just decided that the U was going to beat Duke, and that's what happened. 53-31. They scored, I think, 20-plus unanswered points in that fourth quarter. Ridiculous performance from Cam. 400 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And oh my dear God, that one play where he steps up in the pocket, just calmly circles out, then fires a rifle, which goes through Jacoby George's hands, I think, and ends up with Restrepo early in. That was absolutely insane. That was insane. That was a Heisman moment almost. But yeah, Cam Ward continues to rise up draft boards and rise up the Heisman odds with another dominant game. Xavier Restrepo, we say it every single week, the most underrated receiver, I dare say, in the country. But he's getting more respect, so I'm here for it. He also broke the Miami record, I believe, for receiving yards for a career, which is, again, huge honor with all the great receivers that Miami has had over the years. And X is definitely one of them. 8 receptions, 146, and 3 touchdowns for him. Malik Murphy had a very up-and-down game. He did have 325 and 3 touchdowns. However, he did throw 3 picks in this game. So you saw the good Malik. You also saw the bad Malik. Higgins had 9 receptions, 139, and a touchdown for the Blue Devils. But it was not enough because, like I said, Cam Ward is a bad, bad man. Minnesota and Illinois. You know who's a bad man? Dragon Quiche is a bad man. I mean, that's a great name, by the way. An all-time great name, Minnesota's kicker. And he powered them. Powered that him and the defense. Dragon and the Minnesota defense had the boat rowing, all right, against Illinois, who continues their free fall and their descent. And this may be the last time we talk about Illinois, honestly. Um, Luke Altmaier, once again, he didn't throw an interception this week, but yeah, he is no longer on fraud watch. We can remove Luke's name. He is a fraud. He's just a fraud, okay? 2 fumbles in this game, 2 very costly fumbles in this game. And yeah, Minnesota grinds out a win. Illinois, again, it's just been no good, very bad since August ended, to be completely honest with you. Georgia and Florida. My goodness. Again, if you had Carson Beck as QB1, I just want you to show yourself. Just show yourself. Make yourself known in the comments, wherever. If you're watching this, if this is a TikTok clip, then show yourself and say, listen, make it known, please, and explain yourself. Please, with the audience, all right? We would love to hear why the hell you thought Carson Beck was QB1. All right, because even though Georgia finds a way, because Florida completely crumbled. I mean, completely. This was less Georgia winning this game and more of Florida just completely themselves. They completely choked in this game. Completely choked. I mean, it was like you could visibly see the lights get too bright for Florida, and it just was, oh God. Oh God, this wasn't supposed to happen. And of course, they're dealing with way too many injuries. DJ Lagway gets hurt in this game, so they're down to their third string quarterback, who was a very costly pick at the end of the game, even though he was playing okay up to that point. But like I said, Florida just crumbled. All right, forgot how to tackle, forgot how to run the ball, forgot how to pass the ball. I mean, just forgot how to play football. All right, it was insanity. It was insane to watch Florida quite literally forget how to play football, and it was more Florida lost this game than Georgia won it, if I'm being completely honest. Carson Beck with another disaster class, another 3-interception game. He's a bum. He's a bum. I'm not going to mince my words here. He's a bum. If you draft Carson Beck, you should be fired. If you draft Carson Beck in the first, I'll even say the first 4 rounds. I wouldn't even take him in the 4th. If you take him in the first 4 rounds of the draft, you deserve to be fired. I don't think he has a redeemable quarterback skill. There is nothing he does really good besides turn the ball over. If you put him outside of the red, white, and black of the Georgia Bulldogs, oh boy, I don't even know if he's a starter. He's just not that guy. He's not that guy, and he is going to, as we have seen, even in this game, which they won, a detriment. He is the thing that will hold this Georgia team back this year. He's just not that guy. He really wasn't that guy last year, but he got a pass. But he is most definitely not this guy this year. Again, I don't know if it's the Cavinder twin and a woman coming in and changing his life for the worse or what it is, but he has to be the worst quarterback with a Lambo in the country. And Georgia somehow, some way, he pulls it off because Florida, just it's bad. It's bad. Texas Tech and Iowa State. Iowa State no longer undefeated this week. Who would have thought? Giving the ball to your best player is conducive to winning. Who would have known? Who would have known that, giving the ball to the best running back probably in school history, Taj Brooks, tends to help you win games. Texas Tech didn't before this game, but, they do now. He had 122 and, of course, the game-winning touchdown here. Kelly had 8 receptions and 127 and 2 touchdowns as well for the Red Raiders. J-Rod, what a game. 10 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 TFLs. Again, Texas Tech played a very, 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 very good game. And then, like I said, you give the ball to Taj, good things happen. All right, Iowa State kind of did the same, honestly. They gave the ball to Jaden Higgins. He got 10 receptions, 140 and a touchdown, but it was not enough. And so I so famously say on this channel, and Texas Tech is able to pull off the upset. And that was the beginning, because it was a really rough afternoon for a lot of y'all. This was the come-down game, as I said. All right, this was y'all been riding the high, y'all been on the top of the world, and then it just all came crashing down. Yeah, Kansas State, we had the bad AJ this week. They blew a 9-point lead in the 4th to Houston. Houston, who has not been by any means, this isn't Greg Ward Houston. No, this is a Houston team that was comparable offensively to Iowa. Not this year's Iowa, because they can actually put up some points. And they put that thing on Wisconsin today, or on yesterday. My goodness. Caleb Johnson is him. But this Houston team's been Iowa of years past this year. All right, minus the elite defense. I mean, the defense is good, though. And they played really good here against Avery Johnson in Kansas State. But yes, the bad AJ came out, and that is just, they're kind of living and dying. All right, they're living and dying. If Avery has a good game, that means Giddens going to have a good game, and everybody else in K-State's probably going to play really well. If he plays bad, oh dear God, they're in trouble. All right, and that's what happened here. Houston able to get it done. Shout out to that defense. And you know what? They're playing a little bit better they've won 4 games now, by the way. So yeah, Houston playing a little bit better and gets the huge upset against K-State. South Carolina. The Marcel Reed hype train, it was hype last week. They're knocking out LSU. It's time to come back down to earth. And by the way, that video of Shane Beamer and his wife with that singing Fantasia, that made my week. That made my week. I had a great weekend, but that just really was like the cherry on top seeing that. But yeah, Scar gets it in against TAMU 44-20 BTA. All right, they weren't the only ones this week. We're gonna talk about the next 2 games or BTA. But yeah, this one was definitely in that BTA category as well. Rocket Sanders 144 and 2 touchdowns. Sellers had a huge game. All right, probably one of his best games in a South Carolina uniform. 350 and 3 touchdowns for Sellers. He did not throw this game away. All right, he was a huge reason why they got this done, obviously. So, yeah, credit where credit's due there. And Simon completes the triplets with 4 receptions, 132 and 2 touchdowns. And like I said, Shane Beamer, man. Shane Beamer. The stock is rising. All right, I don't think he's getting, poached yet. But stock definitely rising. Stunt like his pappy. So, yeah, shout out to Shane. Shout out to South Carolina. Played a great game. Like I said, dominated TAMU from the jump, jumped on them. They were at home. You felt that environment. Yeah, Texas A&M came in there with a freshman quarterback who didn't play necessarily bad, but not good enough to get it done here. And, of course, if you drop 44 on your head, then, you're probably not winning anyway. But, yeah, congrats to Rocket, Sellers, and the rest of the people at the Beamer Ball in the Gamecocks. Get it done. Louisville, BTA Clemson, all right? 33-21 is very generous for Clemson, all right? Because this was a whooping. This wasn't whooping. I mean, it was a running back duel, by the way. Isaac Brown had 151 and a touchdown. Phil Moff had 171 and 2 touchdowns. But Clemson never looked threatening in this game. It just looked like everything that they had gotten better at over the past couple weeks just completely regressed in this game. Completely regressed. I don't know what it was. I don't know if they woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I don't know if Dabo didn't, pray to the Lord enough this week or what it was. Clemson didn't have it. They simply did not have it, and Louisville came on a mission, and they successfully completed it. All right, they beat the brakes off of Clemson, 33-21. Like I said, very generous for the Tigers. Very, very generous. Clemson fans, I think you've been inclined to agree. SMU. That boy Kevin Jennings is a bad brother. 306 and 2 touchdowns in this game. Brashard Smith had 161, 2 touchdowns, and another receiving touchdown to go along with that for the Hattie. And yeah, SMU put that thing on Pittsburgh in what is now an ACC matchup, which feels very strange to say. Very, very strange to say, but SMU came through. All right, they came through in this game in a big way. 2 ranked opponents, by the way, both these two. And SMU came and made a statement. All right, this is a dangerous, dangerous Southern Methodist University team. All right, the Pony Express is back and running, and they looked excellent. All right, they looked excellent. They look like legitimate ACC contenders. Them and Miami looks like it would be a very interesting matchup at this point in time. However, I will say as an ACC truther and OG, it would be kind of insane for SMU to walk into the ACC and just run it like this. But hey, they cooking right now. One last thing for Pittsburgh, by the way. Yarnell came in and completely outplayed Eli Holstein. So, yeah, something to consider for Pitt, but, not the end of the world. And to quickly end this before this timer runs out, I have to, start a new thing, and you see the cut. 9 Indiana came true. All right, Indiana stays undefeated. They better be top 10 if they aren't already. Army is still undefeated. They beat our Air Force, which means the CIC will be Army-Navy. That should be a good one, as we said all year. And Ashton, GT State, AJ. So, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Earth for a lot of y'all, but that was CFB. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the last MLB segment of the year. And for a while, obviously. As, yeah, man. The Los Angeles Dodgers, as you know by now, have won the World Series. But the New York Yankees are the greatest tease in sports right now. They're the greatest tease in sports. We had no reason no reason to even be in the World Series. As you saw, even when the most hope I had was when we had that hot start and Soto and Judge were just going back and forth, pretty much before the injuries kind of happened. That was the most hope I had. But after that point, I was like, yeah, there's no way in hell this Yankee. I had no expectations going into the playoffs. I was like, there's no way in hell this Yankees team is not good enough to win a World Series. Not even good enough to make it. But of course, playoffs come. We win one series. We win the ALCS. And now we're here. And I'm like, you know what? We're going against the Dodgers. We're overmatched. But you know what? We're here. So maybe, just maybe, it's time. Judge has been completely ghost. But just maybe the Yankees can pull this off. Since we made it here. But no. We lose 3 games. And then finally, we come back alive. The captain makes an appearance. And we win game 4. We prevent the sweep. And you think just maybe, once again, after losing all hope, you get a little bit of hope back. And then it happens again. Game 5. Deciding game, right? Or would end up being the deciding game. The Yankees start off hot. Start up 5-0. Aaron Judge hits a home run in this game. Stan hits a home run. Yankees are looking like, yes, game 6 on the way. Pressure going to be on Los Angeles. And then they play the worst inning I've ever seen in my life at nearly any level of baseball to completely choke away a 5-run lead in a half inning like that. But that wasn't all. Because they got to score a run to take the lead back. But the Yankees are the greatest tease in sports. So even after they give you that little hope back that, you know what, all right, we can put the inning behind us, they still choke and lose the game 7-6. And the Dodgers get to celebrate in New York. I hate this team. I completely understand why they hate the Yankees. All right? Because I hate us too. I hate this team. As much as I love this team, I hate this team. Because it's damn near an abusive relationship at this point. Alright? They build me up. They give me hope. And then they let me down. And then I get no expectation. And then they build me up again. And then they let me down. It's a fucking roller coaster. That's what being a Yankees fan is. Now I know. I probably sound super entitled because I get to wipe my tears with the 27 World Series. But we've won one of them. One since, well, we did win some at the beginning of it. But we haven't won since 2009. Alright, and we're the Yankees. Alright, so I'm going to be hurt. Alright, I'm going to be hurt. And it wasn't even Ohtani. Ohtani played not very good. But you know what? Shout out to Ippei because he is the greatest fall man of all time. And this had to be also very painful for the Angels to watch Ohtani just go over to the crosstown rivals and just win instantly. That just has to be so rough. So rough. So apologies to Angels fans. But yeah, Ippei, great con man or great fall guy. I mean, just the elite level fall guy to make this happen for the Dodgers. Roki Sasaki's joining them. Just they can do no wrong. Hell, they might even get Soto because we don't even know if he's going to be a Yankee next year after carrying us all playoffs long alongside Stanton. So. Just great. Just absolutely marvelous. However, Freddie Freeman was the star of the show in the World Series. Make no mistake about it. All right. I think Freddie is not getting enough attention. And he got some, but he didn't get enough. All right. Ohtani shouldn't be the headliner for winning this World Series. It was Freddie Freeman. All right. He was World Series MVP for a reason. Tied the record for most RBIs in a World Series. He was a monster. He was an absolute monster. He had a home run in 4 straight games? We could do nothing to him. All right. He was untouchable. And a superstar. All right, I think a lot of people forget, of the MVPs on that team. And everybody talks about Shohei, obviously, is the best player in the world. Mookie is not that far behind him. But then, people sometimes forget about Freddie. All right, Freddie is a superstar. He's a Hall of Famer. One of the, if not the best first baseman of his generation. Put some respect on his name, and he showed you why in the World Series. Dodgers get it done, but the Yankees bring me more pain. Now, let's talk about entertainment. All right, Penguin. Nice setup for tonight's episode. Of course, as y'all know, I record these on Sundays now. So, Nice little setup. Episode 7 is called Top Hat. I think we saw in the teaser photos we got the old school penguin. So we'll see there. We'll see there. And then next week we got the finale. We'll talk about that. Maybe we watch it live. Alright? Maybe we watch it live. But let's talk about music. Alright? Chromokopia dropped on a Monday because Tyler's a lunatic. But was very, very good. I'm gonna give it an 8.9. I'm very tempted to give it a 9, and it may age into a 9. I'm going to give it an 8.9, though, because I don't know if it was my favorite Tyler project. But still, very, very good. Obviously, 8.9, very, very high. So, yeah. Sticky, Judge Judy, Hey Jane, which you've all probably heard. Very, very good. All right, those are my favorites off of my first couple listens. Sticky, stuck in my head. Judge Judy, also stuck in my head. And I thought Hey Jane was really good storytelling from Tyler. He was a really, really good storyteller. He's a very, very good storyteller. And, yeah. What I learned most from this album, though, is that he really, really does not want kids. Just really does not want kids. But another great project from Tyler. He's been one of the best in the game and kind of recognized more recently as that for a little bit. So really cool to see him kind of get that acknowledgement and really get that appreciation that he deserves. So yeah, shout out to Tyler, the creator. Another great album, Chromokopia. Highly recommend. We also got Lil Uzi Vert literally on like 72 hours notice being like, you know what, hey, EA2 is coming out, and then Eternal Take is coming out. Yeah, it just dropped on Friday. So, Complete said, F a rollout, I'm going to show up on Kai Stream the next day, and that's it, alright? But, Eternal Take 2 did not live up to Eternal Take 1, I will say. That first half very much so felt like Uzi was trying to get back into form, and then he found it in that second half, which was really, really good. However, I can only really give it, I'm going to give it a 7.8. I'm going to give it a 7.8. By no means his Magna Carta, by no means, his best stuff. Mr. Chow and Lift Him Up were really kind of where this thing started kicking in and my standouts. I'm going to give it off the album. But, it was an interesting place for Uzi. And I think it's an album that puts him in an interesting place creatively in terms of where he wants to go. He spent the last couple of years really experimenting and really leaning into the whole like rock star kind of persona and really even into his music, which had some really good stuff. However, returned a little bit here back to the usual almost Uzi sound, but wasn't completely, the best form of it. So yeah, I think this album leaves him in a very interesting spot. By no means a bad album, in my opinion. I have seen some people that weren't really rocking with it. Again, I think that first half really, there were some misses. All right, there were some misses. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, EA2 came out. I appreciate the fast rollout and some more good music from Uzi, but not his best album. Still would give it a cosign, of course. Of course, listen to it on your own time. Westside Gunn actually dropped 2 projects. I did not listen to one of them. I didn't listen to, I think it's 11. But I did listen to Still Praying because if you got Lex Luger and all the wrestling references, I gotta rock with it. I love having Justin Roberts do the intro. I'm gonna give Still Praying an 8 point, feeling an 8.3 for it. Good stuff. Westside is a great rapper. He did some great rapping on this. Still Praying, the song was one of my standouts. Conrad the Machine doing what Conrad does. Duran was also very, very good. And yeah, I mean, Westside just kind of puts you, he has his lane and he's so good at his lane and he's just undeniable in it. So yeah, shout out to Westside. More good stuff. Ultra Project, I haven't listened to. We'll get to it. But yeah, I had so much new music. I didn't want to completely cut off the rest of my playlist with the updates. So yeah, didn't listen to it yet, but we'll get to it. But Still Praying, other good stuff. Again, 3 really good hip hop albums this past week. Probably 4 if you account the other one from Westside. We also got the South of France remix from Future. Trav hopped on it. Was solid. Nothing crazy, nothing like transformative, but it was very solid. So give the boys 2 of the best in the game, 2 of the best probably ever. In Trav and Future, some good stuff. It was good, but South of France wasn't this like crazy hit. So yeah, it was cool. It was cool. That was the best I can say about it. It was cool, of course. Movies wise, I'm literally just waiting to Gladiator 2 later in the month. So yeah, that's why I'm standing there. But ladies and gentlemen, that was music. Now let's get to it. All right, let's get to it, man. NFL, the Houston Texans are just not elite yet, but the Jets found a way to win, all right? Finally, of course, a lot of it due to the fact that Garrett Wilson quite literally put some mysticizing and one of the best catches you will ever see. And that just completely shifted the momentum. Not only did that give the Jets the lead with, 12 minutes or 13 minutes to go in that fourth quarter, but from that moment, the Jets just felt like they were the better team, and they were able to get it done. All right, a very complete defensive performance. Stroud had a very pedestrian game. A-Rod had 211 and 3 touchdowns. Looked a little bit more like the A-Rod we've come to know and love or hate. Devontae Adams finally settled in. He had 7 receptions, 91 yards, and a touchdown. This was a very classic Packers game, except they were wearing green and white instead of green and gold. So, yeah, Jets get the win. Texans, I feel... I'm not really surprised they lost, but I think this was a big game and kind of like directed in like where they are. Like, are they ready to be amongst the elite? And we talking about them as a Super Bowl contender? Or is this like a game where it's like, okay, you can still see that there's some work to be done. And I think this showed that there is still definitely some work to be done with the Houston Texans. The Dallas Cowboys. You know what? I'm actually happy about this. All right, even though we lost to the Falcons 27-21, which really shouldn't be a surprise. Kirk Cousins went off 222, 3 touchdowns. Daryl Mooney, like I said, another week where he continues to cook. 5 receptions, 88 yards, and a touchdown. However, Drake Yoder did get hurt in this game after his touchdown. But I did want to say that I'm actually quite happy about this. I'm quite happy about this because this leaves us no doubt about what the Cowboys are. We are not a good team. As I've been saying all season long for all, what week are we in? This is what, week 9? Yeah. For all 9 weeks, I've been like, and even in the offseason, the Cowboys are not going to be very good. They're not. We're not a very good football team. And nobody was just like, you know what? We just kind of like zombie walked like we're Jerry and just was like, okay, maybe it'll click. No. They suck. They suck. We suck. This is what they are. They suck. Do y'all understand me now? After this week, do y'all understand what I'm saying? The Cowboys suck. As someone that's a Cowboys fan, I would know. We suck. All right? Which means very happy about this because now we're 3-6. We're not making the playoffs. It's dead. Give it up. This is not the team that's going to reel off a bunch of wins and make it happen or battle back to 500. They suck. Hell, Dak got injured in this. Tank. Blow it up. Blow it up. And we can stop pretending that we're a contender because we got a couple superstars or star-level players that we gave big contracts to. That doesn't make you a contender. Your reputation built off of 30 years ago and 40 years ago doesn't make you a contender. All the money in the world that we don't spend doesn't make you a contender. So can we stop pretending after this game that the Dallas Cowboys are even in close to being mentioned in the name of potentially being a contender? We suck. We suck. Call it what it is. Blow it up. Tank. Whatever you got to do. Reset. It's time. It is time. Do it while some of the young stars are still young. And if they're young enough to leave, then they can leave and you can replace them. But do it now. This is where you are. This is what you built. So now reap it, Jerry. All right, that's all I got to say about that. Appreciate you, Falcons. Bills are that team. Okay, they are. Again, Josh Allen is one of them ones. We've said it. 235, 3 touchdowns. We didn't even need Cook to go off this week. However, with that said, the Dolphins did make this a close one. All right, they finally showed up. Of course, Tua's back. He looked healthy in this game finally. And Jalen Waddle scored from 7 yards out. Thank you to my fantasy team. To make it 27-27. However, all right, the Bills were able to get it to make it a 61-yard try. And Tyler Bass had missed a field goal in this game. Actually, has he missed 2? Let me check. I forget whether it was 1 or 2. I'll check, though. He missed one earlier he missed the extra point. All right. So, a little bit shaky, but he was 2 for 2 for field goals in the game. 61 yards, and you know what? I don't know whether it was the home environment or maybe it's just the adrenaline, but Tyler Bass was one of the kicks, if not the kick of his career, puts the Bills over the top. They get the win, 30-27, and continue to control the AFC East and run the show there. Like I said, Josh played a great game. 3 touchdowns for him. Defense wasn't splendid, but again, Josh and then Bass with a 61-yarder. That'll put you over the top. Tua was very efficient. All right, 25 for 28, 231 and 2 touchdowns. Played a very, very solid game. Cheetah had 80 yards, no TDs though. A-Kane had a very, very solid game. So for those of y'all with him on your fantasy team, congratulations. Jalen Ramsey, though washed, did show that, you know what, he still has a fraction of it. He did get an interception in this game. But like I said, Tyler Bass from 61, and the Bills get it done 30-27. The Ravens wiped down the Broncos. All right, they saw the Bo Nix, Rookie of the Month, and then, of course, If Lamar Jackson is not playing an NFC team, then he's going to play like Lamar Jackson. So, yeah, that is what happened. Or actually, no, it's the reverse, right? Yeah, Lamar's undefeated against the NFC. So, yeah, this was kind of like Lamar against the NFC is what I meant. Yeah. This was like LJ against the NFC team. All right, because this was good old BTA. 41-10, smoked them. All right, Lamar 16 for 19, 280 and 3 touchdowns. King Henry also had 2 touchdowns, which brings his season total, ladies and gentlemen, to 9. He also still leads the league in rushing. So yes, Derrick Henry still cooking to the detriment of my health. Zay Flowers had 5 receptions, 127 and 2 touchdowns. He had over 100 yards in the first half. Kyle Hamilton was tackling everything with the pulse. They sacked Bo 4 times. And yeah, really kept him in control. However, he did get a receiving touchdown, so shout out to Bo. He didn't play a good game by any means, but it wasn't like completely catastrophic. He was finding Sutton very, very well, but the Ravens were in some mood. So yeah, BTA there. Chargers beat the Browns. Welcome back down to earth. Jameis Winston played like Jameis Winston this week. He had 3 picks. Justin Herbert had a pretty easy outing. So did J.K. Dobbins, and the Chargers get it done. New Orleans Saints. Come take a seat. Come take a seat, man. Come take a seat, man. Those first 2 weeks feel so long ago, don't they? It feels so long ago. All right? Boy, how the mighty have fallen. Y'all have the same record as the Panthers now. I was going to make the joke of, man, y'all lost to the Panthers. But you know what? Y'all have the same record. Y'all are just as bad. All right? And Chris Olave's career might be coming over soon, which is even worse because he got another concussion in this game. But apparently he did tweet out that Chris is okay, which is a very good thing. He's been a great player, but man, he's taken some huge hits early in his career. I think his 6th concussion in 5 years. I mean, I think we got to have some conversations, unfortunately. But the Panthers do get the win here, all right? Chuba Hubbard, 16 yards out with 2 minutes to go, puts them over the top. Bryce was not bad. He wasn't bad. The boy wasn't bad, all right? And, of course, led them down that drive to, put them in a position to win that game. So, yeah, he did enough. He did enough. And you'll take that. Especially considering we were talking about whether, maybe his confidence might be shaken. Maybe he might not be that guy anymore. To see him continue to, fight back and show some heart with his team, you like that. You got to take that. So, yeah, congrats to Bryce. Chuba Hubbard, of course, had 2 touchdowns in this game. Kamara went over 155 rushing and had another, 60 receiving to put him over 200, but it was not enough. Like I said, the Saints, just not a very good team. All right, welcome to the tank. All right, welcome to the tank. Bengals take care of the Raiders. All right, 41-24. Nothing crazy to say here besides Chase Brown going for 120. Burrow dropping 5 touchdowns on the Raiders' head. But we knew the Raiders suck, so that shouldn't be a surprise. The Commanders took care of the Giants as well. Again, no big surprise here. 27-22. Jaden becomes the first quarterback in a long time to sweep the New York Giants. So yeah, good stuff there. He did what he does. Daniel Jones didn't throw a pick in this game, which is about the best thing I can say. And the Giants actually had a very legitimate shot to win this, but the Commanders were able to get it done because they're just a better team and they run the NFC East. Unfortunately, we'll see. They got to play the Eagles, so I won't say they run it yet, but they're the two. All right, the Cowboys suck, Giants suck. It is now the Eagles and the Commanders, which makes me sick. All right, makes me absolutely sick. The Titans are able to get it done in OT over the Patriots. Drake May's got it, though. I will say, Drake, he's got it. It wasn't a great game for him. He did throw 2 picks, which is lopsided ratio for him because he only threw 1 touchdown. But that play to send it to OT where he found Ramondre Stevenson showed everything you need to see. All right? And why you just got to believe. All right, this looks like a great rookie quarterback class, and Drake showed a lot of glimpses in this game, even though they did lose. All right, ultimately here in OT, and they did have opportunities to win it and couldn't get it done. But I think Drake showed enough to give you hope, but the Titans do get the win, but the Patriots ain't trying to win anyway. But ladies and gentlemen, that was the first half slate. I will see you, of course, for the second half. All right, and now we're back. All right, we're back for the afternoon slate. Kicking us off, all right, the Cardinals and the Bears, and it went pretty much how you would expect the Cardinals and the Bears to go. In 2024. All right. Cardinals get the win 29-9. Bears, work in progress. All right. Work in progress. The Cardinals are a little bit more of a, a little bit less of a work in progress. Still very much a work in progress. Don't get messed up. But yeah. Nothing too much to note here. 6 sacks of Caleb Williams, though, is going to be a killer for the Bears. And, yeah, they've struggled with protection. So, yeah, need to get somebody to protect the boy so he's not fighting for his life, even though he's used to it from his time at USC. But still, Cardinals get it done 29-9 relatively easily. The Eagles and the Jaguars was way closer. I mean, the Jaguars have to be the best mediocre team in the league. Um, Trevor continues to find ways to lose games, like throwing 2 interceptions, but then has moments where it's like, okay, that's why he's Trevor Lawrence. Like he scored with 4 minutes to go to really get the Jags back into it, but they could not close the show, mostly because Saquon Barkley was on one in this game. All right, even though Jalen Hurts did his thing, all right, don't get me wrong, he had 297 yards and 3 touchdowns in this game. Great game from Hurts, back-to-back great games from Hurts. But Saquon had 159 and a touchdown, but more importantly, that I have never in my life seen a man do a backwards hurdle. And it didn't just, it came off of the spin. It came off of a nice spin move, and then he had the audacity to do a backwards hurdle. I've never seen anything like it in my life, okay? This man is an anomaly. I think we forget how I think some people, there was an argument that Saquon was generational coming out of the draft, all right? The things, the moves in his skill set are just different, all right? The stuff he's got in his bag is just different. But yeah, Saquon has a great game. He also had 40 yards receiving and a touchdown there. So yeah, he has lived up to the billing in his first season in Philly and really just added to the dynamic of that team. However, all right, Josh Sweat also had 2 sacks in this game. So yeah, big performances from a lot of the Eagles standouts. But yeah, they play a lot of they play an awful lot of close games. For such a good team, they play an awful lot of close games. But it doesn't really matter. A win is a win. All right, the Packers and the Lions, took on each other in a battle for NFC South supremacy. And the Lions reminded once again why I called them the best team in the league. 24-14, they get it done on the road. Jordan Love, of course, got injured. It was pretty much hobbled all night. He also did one of the worst picks ever to Kirby Joseph right before halftime, and that was really the backbreaker because I felt like the Packers really never recovered from that. So yeah, going to be interesting to see, what they do with Love and kind of the injury status on him coming in the coming week. But the Lions, no Hutch, no problem. Now imagine if they had Hutch still, all right? Because Hutch made it made a difference on this team. Don't get it wrong, even though they've still been undefeated without him. He made a difference on this team. Imagine if they had him and they're still playing this good. So yeah, more good stuff from the Lions. Again, this might be the year, ladies and gentlemen. Do not be surprised if this is the year they take that jump to the Super Bowl. And you know what? Detroit was so trash for so long. They deserve this. All right, they deserve a team this good. So yeah, shout out to the Lions. They get it done over the Packers. The Rams get it done over the Seahawks in OT. And the Rams went through it in this game. All right, but having Cooper Kupp and Puka seems to make a difference, it seems. That just seems to, do something to this offense, especially for the Rams. Stafford goes 298 and 2 touchdowns. Demarcus Robinson catches the game winner for Matty Stafford. However, speaking of Puka, he gets thrown out of the game for one of the weakest, punch calls, even though I get it was a punch, but, it wasn't it was like he's shoving him off. Gotta make the call, but at the same time, it's it was kind of weak in my opinion. All right, it was kind of weak. Geno Smith had some great times. However, the fourth quarter was the ultimate Geno Smith, most reckless experience. 101, a goal line pick six, and we also had a game tying touchdown with under a minute. All right, we had the highs and lows of Geno. He had 3 touchdowns and 3 picks. The Malik Murphy special, I guess we're calling it for the week. So yeah, Geno up and down ends up being costly. JSN thought he was back at Ohio State though. 7 receptions, 180 and 2 touchdowns. Kupp had 11 receptions, 104, so he balled out. And again, having Puka, I think, would have made a big difference. Kitchens, by the way, had another pick alongside that pick 6. He was giving Geno fits in that secondary, but the Rams do get a big, big win. A potentially momentum-shifting win in that division and kind of, sets the Rams up to potentially make the playoffs here, getting that win over the Seahawks. So we'll see. All right, 2 teams have been duking it out. But ladies and gentlemen, that was the National Football League, and that takes me straight to the Roundup. All right, welcome. Sao Paulo. All right, listen. There's been a lot of talk about Mr. Max Verstappen. A lot of talk about Mad Max. I've talked about Mad Max, right? About Mad Max returning, of how he hasn't been the same guy since, McLaren really made these upgrades. And if he hadn't gone on that run and hadn't been so dominant, maybe he wouldn't be winning the championship here. About to win his 4th World Driver Championship. But today, ladies and gentlemen, in an absolutely insane, a wet weekend in Brazil, Max Verstappen reminded us why. All right, he's on the verge of a 4th World Driver Championship, why he is one of the greatest of all time, and why he is the driver of this era. All right, he reminded us all. Also, why he's on the Mount Rushmore of wet condition driving. Okay, it's Senna, Lewis, Michael, Max, which also just might be the big four ever. Okay, but this was one of the great drives in Max's history, and maybe in the history of F1. He went from 17th on the grid. All right, was supposed to start last because he had the spot penalty. But of course, we had some people that didn't even make it to the race. Albon, I think, Stroll crashed out on the formation lap. So Max is up 17th to start the race. And then he goes from 17th to 1st. Has some fortune, of course, with, safety cars and red flags due to rain and other incidents. But Max was just better. He ends up putting a 20-second gap on the two, Alpines, who get the 2-3, Ocon and Gasly, the French connection, the French 2-3. And yeah, Max proves why he is the guy. All right, this was the reason. All right, when we talk about how good Max is, it's not just a car. All right, this was very important also for me, like with my father, who's really just getting into F1 and kind of understanding how good Max is, because he's only really seen Max with having like that Red Bull and like steroids, right? Like last year, where it was like, okay, he's supposed to win every race. So he hadn't really gotten a really good example. Not that Max hasn't had good drives, but hadn't had a really great example of Max and how good Max is. But this was the great example of how talented Max is, how good of a driver he is. And yeah, just an absolute masterclass from the best in the world. And he went to Sao Paulo, like I said, Alpine, big weekend for them. They get the 1-2, drop them into 6th in the constructors. McLaren, Oscar struggled. He just didn't have it all day. And then Lando had some bad luck, but also, once again, those starts have plagued him. And yeah, just didn't work out. Mercedes was on the verge of a great weekend, but Max gets it done. Martinsville, NASCAR, playoffs. Blaney gets it done, even though it was Kyle and Chase fighting for it. Eventually, Ryan gets past them. And what was another kind of a banger race for NASCAR, back-to-back weekends of that. And Blaney gets it done. So he will be able to defend his title, of course, against William Byron, Tyler Reddick, and Joey Logano in Phoenix. Which, I'm not going to lie, I kind of miss. I get why they do the playoffs. Is like this gimmick to try to get interest, but I feel like you don't need it, man. I feel like you don't need it. I even like the chase more than I liked, the playoffs. Even though, not that I don't think Blaney was or the previous playoff winners were not worthy winners, but, it does take away when it's like, all right, we got 4 guys fighting for the championship. It's like, so we basically just do a race with them 4, right? It's like, it kind of takes away some of the last race. But nonetheless, that is the playoff lineup. We will see Blaney, however, hell of a drive to make sure he gets a chance to defend that title. And of course, the NBA, just a quick little roundup. I probably won't even pop up a picture. LaMelo's been hooping, but the Hornets have been 50-50. Anthony Davis is looking like an MVP candidate. The Lakers have cooled down a little bit. Joker is still Joker, very much so. Jalen Green, so though he had a really bad game against Golden State, has very much so looked like an all-star this year. So we'll see what him and the Rockets can do. Sengun needs to play a little bit better. But yeah, NBA cooking up. NHL, Sam Reinhart's been going crazy. So yeah, those segments, of course, as the MLB has gone down, will get to emerge back into the main course. But, we will see. All right, we will see. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed 222. Without further ado, welcome to November, penultimate month of the year. Ocho, signing off.